Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to Vega Conflict. I'm going to quickly go over a short prize list that I've quickly compiled, and no, it won't just include all of the top tier tech, it'll include tech that I believe will be beneficial slightly further down the line. But in total, if you try to unlock everything on the list, it will cost you 17,100,000 event points, for whatever they may be, to unlock it. But let's kick it off with what is on the screen currently. First up is the Trojan Cruiser Blueprint for 2 million event points. Second is the Terra Cannon Level 1 Blueprint for 400,000 event points. Third is the Spectral Screen 2 Blueprint for 400,000 event points. The fourth item is the third, and then fourth item is the Spectral Screen 1 Blueprint for 150,000 event points. Fifth is the Node Armor Level 1 Blueprint for 400,000 event points. Sixth is the Terra Cannon 2 Blueprint for 800,000 event points. Seventh is the Spectral Armor Screen Level 3 Blueprint for 800,000 event points. Eighth is the Node Armor 2 Blueprint for 800,000 event points. I'm just going to quickly scroll this down a little bit for the next one. Next up is the Bastion Cruiser Blueprint for 1,200,000 event points. And further down the list, right here. 10th is the Plasma Shell 2 Blueprint for 200,000 event points. 11th is the Plasma Shell 1 Blueprint for 100,000 event points. 12th is the Plasma Resonant Armor 3 reusable instances, and if you collect all of them, that will cost you 3,600,000 event points, but it'll allow you to fit quite a few bastions up to be able to farm some low-level Pharmakon targets as they're slowly added in, or at least have a chance against level 90s. 13th, the Plasma Shell 3 Blueprint for 400,000 event points. Finally, the Bastion Cruiser Mark II crafting boxes for 5,250,000 event points, and I would recommend trying to collect all of them if possible. So, for the primary group of players who don't have the Trojan or any tech for it, well, most of the people should have it upon the event starting, because most people will be hitting high-level targets. So, for any of you who need to step into the Bastion, stuff like that, the recommended list for the Bastion below would be for you, from the 9th to the 14th place. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Trojan Cruiser real quick. And I have a fitting that I'm going to share below for what I've basically set up as being my initial fitting, which I'll be testing out shortly after the event starts. It'll be for the Trojan Cruiser, but let's go ahead and let's take a look at it, because I haven't talked about it, and the blueprint's been in the list all day, and for part of the evening yesterday before I went to sleep. Well, I can't say yesterday because it was extremely early in the morning. But let's go ahead and let's just quickly take a look at it. A hull engineered with malicious intent and equipped with combat technology, and it just says technology, but I'm going to say combat technology, because most of everything we have in the game is focused towards combat, and there isn't anything focused towards advanced mining or anything like that, sadly. It's advanced combat technology that can mislead enemies and create havoc in combat. Base repair time, actually let's go over the fitting first. It has 3 screen energy slots, 3 armor slots, 2 special slots, and 4 weapon slots by default. Repair time, 1 hour, 16 minutes, 33 seconds. 9,185 hit points. Maximum mass, 18,809 tons. Cargo, 2,636,100 tons. Ship speed, 320 meters per second forward. Turning speed, 20 degrees per second. Strafe speed, 150 meters per second. Sector speed, 270 astronomical units an hour. So all fairly standard for a cruiser. Phase state. It gains 140% increased forward speed whilst phased, and if I'm not mistaken, due to the shield, the phase lasts for 10 seconds as long as the shield hasn't taken any damage. But again, I'll have to play around with it to verify that and yada yada yada. But by default, it's going to be an extremely quick ship when it enters phase. Exiting phase also has benefits. 1. The damage over time damage threshold is reduced by 10%, which that will be brought up in just a second. And it gains 10% resistance to all standard damage types with the exception of what it is supposed to be vulnerable to, which is alien damage. So it gains light resistance, plasma resistance, as well as explosive and stuff like that. And these increase as it is markup graded, from what I understand, up to 40 or 50%. Or maybe it was only up to 30%. I can't remember which one it is, but it does increase a little bit as it's markup graded. And on to the final major things that the ship does. And the unique feature of these ships: damage over time other than phasing. And damage over time, the threshold is 250 reduced to the 10% if it goes phase, and you're going to have 225. It can stack up to 10 times, and the stacks, the duration of the effect is 20 seconds, and it does damage at once every 1 second. With 1 damage per stack, so you can get up to 10 damage per stack, up to 200 damage over the total 20-second duration if you get all 10 stacks. And the damage type is plasma. This is something I was curious about, which is verified here and now, which is it doesn't have variable damage type for its damage over time. So it can't have energy weapons equipped and deal energy damage over time. It is specifically plasma, which makes me extremely content with that, so it's not going to be mixing or matching anything and make it more dangerous against other targets. It does increased battle cruiser damage by 10%. Umbra damage increased by 20%, so if you're fighting any manticores, you're going to automatically be doing 30% more damage to them. And then resistance, 50% plasma resistance, and 100% plasma resistance to Nebula and Bolt Blight. Okay. We all expected that for the fields, even though we haven't seen anything but Blight Nebula fields yet that I'm aware of. But my initial thoughts on the cruiser, and from what we've seen from videos, is it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. However, the screen, it being the primary energy source, that the shield, that does make sense, but it also doesn't to me, and I may explain that later. But for now, I just want to talk about the prizes. Terra Cannon 1, Terra Cannon 2, and each one is more impressive. Naturally, Terra Cannons are kind of like shotguns with how they're set up, but they have a very tight spread, as you can see, 3 degrees. And that is for both level 1 and level 2. The projectile range is 50% more, or 150% that of the standard range. So you can hug a target, but you can hit targets that are extremely far away from the initial target due to this. And that should be increased due with harmonic beam capacitors and things like that. Unless the Pharmakon gets something superior to the harmonic beam capacitor, which I doubt will happen. But we'll have to wait and see. It applies 2 damage over time stacks, pierces 6 targets, has 2,500 meters. That's actually fairly slow for an energy weapon. Range 3,000 meters, mass only 1,663 tons, and 235 damage per second. As for the restrictions, well, it's restricted to all Tier 7 vessels, and cruiser naturally. So I can see this being used a few other places other than on Pharmakon ships, a certain suicide ship. And level 2 is essentially the exact same stats, but it has increased piercing, increased damage stacks by 1, weighs 2,008 tons, and has 304 damage per second. Spectral Screen 1. Repair time, 25 minutes, 38 seconds. That is actually pretty nice. Energy reduction, 65%. Mass, 1,751 tons. Energy, 6,150. Defense of 90%. So it'll always have 10% bleed through, which is always nice. Phase screen charge, an additional 1,025. Phase screen drain at 615. So at exactly 10% of the total shield, well, this total screen's energy. And if I'm not mistaken, that is where the drain comes from for the phase screen, because I think the phase screen energy matches the standard energy, so 10 seconds for the shield. However, it will recharge in 6 seconds. And stepping up, we got 33 minutes repair time, 20 seconds. It has, again, the same 65% reduction of energy damage. It weighs 2,279 tons. It has 8,000 energy, has the exact same defense, and again, it goes up, so it is roughly a 6-second recharge time and a 10-second drain time. So again, 10 seconds in phase. Let's see if it's the same for the final one. 10 seconds in phase with roughly 6 seconds of recharge time, and 2,831 tons, 9,900 energy, and its repair time 41 minutes 15 seconds. Not bad. Let's take a look at Node Armor 1 now. 27 minutes and 35 seconds of repair time, 1,576 tons worth of weight, with health of 5,515 per armor, and plus 10 to phase screen. Plus 10% to phase screen. That, I don't know if that's referring to the energy of the phase screen, because if it is, that would increase it and it would be much more pliable and much more interesting. And I will have more information shortly after the event begins, because I'm going to quickly build and set up the first one that I'm going to be using, or sometime around that. But I'll be testing it out shortly after the event begins and all that, so I'll see exactly what the additional is. I think it's just going to be like the Altarian didn't boost the standard energy, so it should boost it the way I think it does. And level 2 node armor is 28 minutes 43 seconds of repair time, 2,051 tons of mass, with health of 5,742, and a 15% phase screen increase. So 10, 15. And if you want to get better armor and weapons, you actually can in the initial targets. Let's just quickly head over here, because the briefing is up, and one target drops to level 3 node armor and level 3 Terra Cannon. Okay, right here. Oh, and the special. Can't forget about the special. I'll have to talk about that, but if you want the level 3 node armor, you'll have to fight the Umbra Calamitous of 110. It'll be worth 1 million intel per fight, and it'll give you 25 to 50 node armor 3 reusable item fragments. And my guess is it's going to be just like the Thonian and stuff like that, so you're going to need about 150 pieces to be able to craft it. So it shouldn't be that hard. The other one is the Umbra Calamitous 100, dropping 400,000 event points. It gives you 15 to 30 Atrophy Rooter 1 reusable item fragments. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that is a special, and it is the only special, and from what I understand, it boosts the damage over time effect, but not in the way you might think. It doesn't increase... Actually, I can't remember what it did. I think I remember seeing something about it, but I'm just going to wait until after I have a few of them unlocked, and I'll just build them that way, and I'll say exactly what they do instead of just trying to remember. It'll be much, much easier. And finally, the Pharmakon Torrent, which is the Blitz Fleet, with a minimum of 40 and a maximum of 150 for the Blitz cost. Level 90, so it's only going to drop 250,000 intel, but that is something that I actually like, because previously most of them would drop less than their counterparts until the most recent mobilization, I believe, which was a catch-up event, which was missing one of the most important things. They made it so that every target was blitz. Now that was pretty cool. I didn't coin anything, even though I could have, and saved plenty of repair times. But what this one drops is 6 to 15 Terra Cannon 3 reusable item fragments, and 10 to 15 plasma elements, and it spawns in both the Residential and the Carmine Nebula. Now, before I start any of the major fights where I'm going to be earning and unlocking all my primary targets, event points, and stuff like that using my main fleet, I'm going to set up my Altarian fleet, and I'm going to take on the Pharmakon Torrent fleet, and I'm going to see what it's all about, and just to see how easy it would be to take down. But that's the final thing I wanted to point out, because the additional prizes for anyone who wants the Node Armor 3 and Terra Cannon 3 reusable items, we can start grinding for them right away. They're in the Pharmakon Torrent Blitz fleet and the Umbra Calamitous 110 fleet. And alternatively, if you want the special, you're going to have to take out the Calamitous 100 fleets, which will reward you with 400,000 intel. That's going to be it, everybody. This is the only thing I wanted to talk about. The event begins, and as you can see, 20 hours, which by the time this video goes live, it'll probably be 10 hours, 8 hours away. But I'm going to go ahead and let the video end here. If you found this video useful, or if you have any suggestions of your own for lower level players to grind towards, go ahead and say so in the comments section below. If you make a recommendation to list for them, I will pin it so that everyone can see it. If you have any additional information on anything I may have said, or have any information I may have missed, most definitely point that out down below for me so I can correct it in a later video if I make one fairly quickly. But that's going to be it, everybody. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, everybody, I'll see you in the next one.